The problem we have here, problem number 13 in the homework, says I have a piecewise function given to you and I want you to find what's the derivative of this function, and they give you some kind of limit expression, so clearly they want you to find it through the definition. So as a quick reminder, the derivative is calculated as limit h approaches 0, f of x plus h minus f of x over h. And if in particular they were asking you what's the derivative at the point of 0, so technically that's the question. So you would have modified your problem by replacing every single x you see here into 0. So the problem changed into f of 0 plus h minus f of 0. So that is to say you were trying to calculate what's the limit as h approaches 0 for f of 0 plus h is h minus f of 0 over h. So according to the definition, if you had set x equals 0, you're going to use second row. F of 0 is 7 times 0 squared minus 3, which is negative 3. So your problem is technically what's the limit? H approaches 0, f of h minus negative 3 over h, which is what's the limit? X approaches 0, h approaches 0, f of h plus 3 over h. Okay, so let's continue our calculation. You are sending your h approaches 0. You are supposed to find out what exactly is f of h. It's quite obvious, depending on the value of h being either negative or positive, you would have chosen different rows here. So let's do it one at a time. So if h had been greater than or equal to 0, f of h would have been 7h squared minus 3. If h is less than 0, you're going to use the first row, so you would say f of h is negative 4h squared plus 2x. So in order to address the concern, you are going to answer the question in two different ways. The first way is x approaches 0 positive, namely it's greater than 0, so your f of h is 7h squared minus 3 plus 3 over h, which is limit h approaches 0 plus, which is 7h squared over h, which after simplification you could realize it's technically this. If h were 0, you end up with 0. If you are sending h approach to 0 from the left side, namely you are less than 0, so you'll be using that expression to represent your f of h. I'm sorry, I had a typo up here. It's 2h, sorry about that. So I have 2h, and then I add my 3 to it, and then divide it by h. So what I end up with, if I conceptually do a quick simplification with substitution, it's 0 plus 3 over 0. It is 3 over 0 as what we said. It does not exist. The limit doesn't exist. So we learned so many times already, if your left limit and right limit, if they don't match with each other, you can get to a conclusion pretty easily. The derivative does not exist. Sorry, the limit doesn't exist. So f prime of 0 technically does not exist.